Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatham Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananshana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Garaganara Sisha Sambhusitam Chintya Chintya Samasta Veda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Vande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Prem Noe Bijapranam Devam Divyatanum Suchanda Varanam Balarka Shelan Sandrananda Puram Sadekavaranam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Suvakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shubharam Mareka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shridaram Manshakopatarubyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahabaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayante Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratabhishe Namah. So, reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This is Madhya-lila, chapter 14, performance of the Vrindaban pastimes. And I'll start with verse number 158. Evam shasham kam shu virajita nisha sasatya kamo nuratha balagana shisheva atmani avaruda sorata sarva sharat kavya katarasashraya. Lord Sri Krishna, who is the absolute truth, enjoyed his rasa dance every night during the autumn season. He performed this dance in the moonlight and with full transcendental mellows. He used poetic words and surrounded himself with women who were very much attracted to him. This verse is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam. The gopis are all transcendental spirit souls. One should never think that the gopis and Krishna have material bodies. Vrindaban Dham is also a spiritual abode, and there the days and nights, the trees, flowers, and water, and everything else are spiritual. There is not even a trace of material contamination. Krishna, who is the supreme Brahman and supersoul, is not at all interested in anything material. His activities with the gopis are all spiritual and take place within the spiritual world. They have nothing to do with the material world. Lord Krishna's lusty desires and all his dealings with the gopis are on the spiritual platform. One has to be transcendentally realized before even considering relishing the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. One who is on the mundane platform must first purify himself by following the regulative principles. Only then can he try to understand Krishna and the gopis. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Swarup Damodar are here talking about the relationship between Krishna and the gopis. Therefore, the subject matter is neither mundane nor erotic. Being a sannyasi, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very strict in his dealings with women. Unless the gopis were on the spiritual platform, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would have never even mentioned them to Swarup Damodar. Therefore, these descriptions do not at all pertain to material activity. Bhama ek gopigan, dakina ek gan, nana bhave karaya krishne rasa ashradan. The gopis can be divided into a left wing and a right wing. Both wings induce Krishna to taste transcendental mellows by various manifestations of ecstatic love. Gopigana madhye shreshta radha Thakurani nirmala ujwala rasa prema ratna kani. Of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani is the chief. She is a jewel mine of ecstatic love and the source of all purified transcendental conjugal mellows. Bayase madhyama teho sabhabate sama Gada prema bhaveteho nirantara bhama Radharani is grown up and her character is equipoised. She is always deeply absorbed in ecstatic love and always feeling in the mood of a left-wing gopi. The left wing and right wing of the gopis has been explained by Rupa Goswami in his Ujjvala Nilamani. The left wing is described in this way. Managrahe sarodyukta tats chait ilya chak kopana abedyanayake praya krura bhamati kirtajate. A gopi who is always eager to be jealously angered, who is very enthusiastic for that position, who immediately becomes angry when defeated, who is never under the control of a hero, and who always opposes him is called a Vama, or left-wing gopi. Srila Rupa Goswami describes the right-wing gopis in this way. Asabhyamana nirbande nayake yuktabadini samabhistena bedya cha dakina parikirtita. A gopi who cannot tolerate womanly anger, who speaks suitable words to the hero, and who is satisfied by his sweet words is called a dakshina, or a right-wing gopi. So one can be angered and the other is very gentle. Radharani is in the left wing gopis, among the left wing gopis. Vamya Swabhave Mana Ute Nirantar Taramanje Ute Krishnera Ananda Sagar. Because she is a left-wing gopi, her womanly anger is always awakening, but Krishna derives transcendental bliss from her activities. Ahar iva gati premna svabhava kutila bhavet ato hetur ahetoscha yunor mana udanshati. The progress of loving affairs between a young boy and a young girl is by nature crooked, like the movement of a snake. Because of this, two types of anger arise between a young boy and girl: anger with a cause and anger without a cause. Eta shuni bore prabhur ananda sagar kaha kaha kohe prabhu bole damodar. As Mahaprabhu heard these talks, his ocean of transcendental bliss increased. He therefore told Swarup Damodar, go on speaking, and thus Swarup Damodar continued. Adiruda Mahabhava Radhikara Prema Vishuddha Nirmala Jaiche Dashavana Hema. Srimati Radharani's love is a highly advanced ecstasy. All her dealings are completely pure and devoid of material tinge. Indeed, her dealings are 10 times purer than gold. Krishnara Darshana Jari Paya Chambite Nanabhava Vibhushane Hoya Vibhushite. As soon as Radharani gets a chance to see Krishna, her body is suddenly decorated with various ecstatic ornaments. Ashtasatmika Harshadi Vyabhichari Jar Sahaja Prema Vimshati Bhava Alankar. The transcendental ornaments of Srimati Radharani's body include the 8 sattvikas, or transcendental symptoms, the 33 vyabhichari bhavas, beginning with harsha, or jubilation in natural love, and the 20 bhavas, or ecstatic emotional ornaments. Kila kinshita kutamita vilasa lalita vivoka motayita ara modgya chakita. Some of the symptoms critically explained in the following verses are Kila Kinchita, Kutamita, Vilasa, Lalita, Vivoka, Motayita, Modga, and Chakita. Eta Bhava Bhushaya, Bhushita, Sri Radharanga, Jakite, Utali Krishna, Sukabdi Taranga. When Srimati Radharani's body manifests the ornaments of many ecstatic symptoms, the ocean of Krishna's happiness immediately displays transcendental waves. Kila kinshitare bhaver shuna vivaran jay bhava bhushayar radha hari krishnaman. Now hear a description of different ecstasies, beginning with Kila Kinshita. With these ecstatic ornaments, Srimati Radharani enchants the mind of Krishna. Radhadeti Krishna Jadi Chunite Koriman Dhanagati Patejabe Bharjena Gaman. When Sri Krishna sees Srimati Radharani and wants to touch her body, he prohibits her from going to the spot where one can cross the river Jamuna. Jabayashi manakore pushpa utaite sakig age chahe jadi gaye hatadite. Approaching her, Krishna prohibits Srimati Radharani from picking flowers. He may also touch her in front of her friends. Esab stani kila kinchita udgam pratame harsha sanchari mula karan. At such times, the ecstatic symptoms of Kila Kinchita are awakened. At such times, the ecstatic symptoms of Kila Kinchita are awakened. First, there is jubilation in ecstatic love, which is the root cause of these symptoms. Whenever Srimati Radharani leaves her house, she is always well-dressed and attractive. It is her womanly nature to attract Sri Krishna's attention, and upon seeing her so attractively dressed, Sri Krishna desires to touch her body. The Lord then finds some fault in her and prohibits her from going to a river crossing and stops her from picking flowers. Such are the pastimes between Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. Being a cowherd girl, Srimati Radharani regularly carries milk in a container and often goes to sell the milk on the other side of the Jamuna. To cross the river, she has to pay the boatman, and the spot where the boatman collects his fares is called Dhanagati. Lord Sri Krishna stops her from going, telling her, first you have to pay the fee, then you will be allowed to go. This pastime is called Dhanakeli Lila. Similarly, if Srimati Radharani wants to pick a flower, Sri Krishna claims to be the garden's proprietor and prohibits her. This pastime is called Kila Kinchita. Kila Kinchita. Radharani's shyness arises due to Sri Krishna's prohibitions, and ecstatic loving bodily symptoms called Kila Kinchita Bhava are manifest at this time. These ecstatic symptoms are explained in the following verse, which is from Srila Rupa Goswami's Ujjvala Nilamani. Garva Bilasa Rudita Smita Suya Bhaya Krudam Sankari Karanam Harshad Ujjate Kila Kinchitam. Pride, ambition, weeping, smiling, envy, fear, and anger are the 7 ecstatic loving symptoms manifested by a jubilant shrinking away, and these symptoms are called Kila Kinchita Bhava. Arashata Bhavashi Sahaje Milai Ashta Bhava Samilane Mahabhava Hoy. There are 7 other transcendental ecstatic symptoms, and when they combine on the platform of jubilation, the combination is called Mahabhava. Garva Abhilasha Bhaya Shushka Rudita Kroda Suya Hoy Ar Mandasmita. The 7 combined ingredients of Mahabhava are pride, ambition, fear, dry artificial crying, anger, envy, and mild smiling. Nana Swadu Ashtabhava Ekatra Milan Jahar Ashwade Tripto Hoy Krishnaman. There are 8 symptoms of ecstatic love on the platform of transcendental jubilation, and when they are combined and tasted by Krishna, the Lord's mind is completely satisfied. Darikanda Gritamaru Maricha Karpura Ilachi Milane Jaiche Rasala Madur. Indeed, they are compared to a combination of yogurt, candy, ghee, honey, black pepper, camphor, and cardamom, which when mixed together are very tasty and sweet. E Baba Jukta Deki Radhasya Nayan Sangama Hoite Sukha Pai Koti Gun. Lord Shri Krishna is thousands upon thousands of times more satisfied when he sees Srimati Radharani's face light up from this combination of ecstatic love than he is by direct union with her. Anta smerata yojvala jalakana vyakirna pakshmanukara kura kinshid patali tanshala rasikatot sikto pura kunshati rudhaya pati madhavena madhura vyabhugna tarotara radhaya kila kinshita stava kini drishti shriyam vakriyat. May the sight of Srimati Radharani's Kila Kinchita ecstasy, which is like a bouquet, bring good fortune to all. When Sri Krishna blocked Radharani's way to the Dhanagati, there was laughter within her heart. Her eyes grew bright, and fresh tears flowed from her eyes, reddening them. Due to her sweet relationship with Krishna, her eyes were enthusiastic, and when her crying subsided, she appeared even more beautiful. Bashpa Vyakuli Tarun Anj Shala Chalanetram Rasolasitam Helolasa Chaladaram Kutilita Brudjugman Udyatsmitam Radhaya Kila Kinshitan Shitam Aso Vikshananam Sangamad Anandam Tam Avapakoti Gunitam Yobunna Girgochara. Agitated by tears, Srimati Radharani's eyes were tinged with red, just like the eastern horizon at sunrise. Her lips began to move with jubilation and lusty desire. Her eyebrows curved, and her lotus-like face smiled mildly. Seeing Radharani's face exhibit such emotion, Sri Krishna felt 1,000,000 times happier than when he embraced her. Indeed, Lord Sri Krishna's happiness is not at all mundane. Etashuni Prabhu Hoila Nanditaman Sukabishta Hana Swarupe Koila Alingan. Upon hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very happy, and being absorbed in this happiness, he embraced Swarup Damodar. Vilashadi Bhava Bhushara Kahata Lakan Jaibabe Radhahare Govindaraman. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then asked Swarup Damodar, please speak of the ecstatic ornaments decorating the body of Srimati Radharani, by which she enchants the mind of Sri Govinda. Tabita Swarup Gosai Kohite Lagila Shuni Prabhur Bhaktagan Mahasukha Paila. Being thus requested, Swarup Damodar began to speak. All the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were very happy to hear him. Radhabasi Ache Kiba Vrindabane Jai Tahan Jadi Achambite Krishna Darshana Pai. Sometimes when Srimati Radharani is sitting or when she is going to Vrindaban, she sees Krishna. Dekite nanabhava hoy vilakan, se vilak kanyera nama vila sabushan. The symptoms of various ecstasies that become manifest at that time are called vilas. Gati stana sanadinam mukha netradi karmanam tatkalikam tu vaishishyam vilasa priya sangajam. The various symptoms manifested in a woman's face, eyes, and the other parts of her body, and the way she moves, stands, or sits when she meets her beloved are called vilas. Lajaharsha Abhilasha Sambrama Vamyabai Etababa Mili Radhaya Chanshala Karai. Swarup Damodar said, timidity, jubilation, ambition, respect, fear, and the characteristics of the left-wing gopis are all ecstatic symptoms that combine to agitate Srimati Radharani. Pura Krishna Lokat Stagita Kutilasha Gatir Abud Tiras Chinam Krishnambara Dhara Britam Shri Mukamapi Chalataram Swaram Nayana Yugam Abugnam Itisa Vilasakya Swalankarana Valitasit Priyamude. When Srimati Radharani saw Lord Krishna just before her, her progress stopped and she assumed an attitude of opposition. Although her face was slightly covered by a blue garment, her two starry eyes were agitated, being wide and curved. Thus she was decorated with the ornaments of Vilasa, and her beauty increased to give pleasure to Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna ge radha jadi rahe dandanya tina anga bange rahe bru chan nachana. When Srimati Radharani stands before Krishna, she stands bent in three places, her neck, waist, and legs, and her eyebrows dance. Mukhe netre hoinana bhavera udgar ekanta bhavera nama lalita lankar. When there is an awakening of the various ecstatic features on Srimati Radharani's face and in her eyes that are appropriate to a charming feminine attitude, the Lalita ornament is manifest. Vinyasa bangir angana bhruvilasa manohara sukamara pavedyatra lalitam tad udaratam. When the bodily features are delicate and expertly curved, and when the eyebrows are very beautifully agitated, the ornament of feminine charm called Lalita Lankara is manifest. Lalita Bhushita Radha Deke Jadi Krishna Duhe Duha Milibare Hoyana Satrishna. When Sri Krishna happens to see Srimati Radharani decorated with these Lalita ornaments, they both eagerly want to meet each other. Riya Tirya Griva Charana Katibangi Sumadura Chalats Chili Vali Dalita Ratina Torajita Danu Priya Brimola Sola Sita Lalita Tanu. Priya Pritya Sashid Udita Lalita Langriti Juta. When Srimati Radharani was dressed with the ornament of Lalita Lankara just to increase Sri Krishna's love, an attractive curve was manifested by her neck, knees, and waist. This was brought about by her timidity and apparent desire to avoid Krishna. The flickering movements of her eyebrows could conquer the powerful bow of Cupid. To increase the joy of her beloved, her body was decorated with the ornaments of Lalita Lankara. Lobhyashi Krishna Kori Kanchu Kakarshan Antare Ulasa Radha Kori Nibaran. When Krishna comes forward and greedily snatches at the border of her sari, Srimati Radharani is actually very pleased within, but still she tries to stop him. Bahire Bhamata Kroda Bitare Sukamane Kutamita Nama E Baba Vibhushane. This ecstatic attitude of Srimati Radharani's is called Kutamita. When this ecstatic ornament is manifested, Radharani externally tries to avoid Krishna, and she apparently becomes angry, although she is very happy within. Stana darade grahane ritprita vapi sambrumat bahi krodo vyatita vat proktam kutamitam budai. When the border of her sari and the cloths veiling her face are caught, she externally appears offended and angry, but within her heart she is very happy. Learned scholars call this attitude Kutamita. Krishna Bansha Purna Hoy Kore Pane Roda Antare Ananda Rara Bahire Vamya Kroda. Although Srimati Radharani was checking Krishna with her hand, internally she was thinking, let Krishna satisfy his desires. In this way she was very pleased within, although she externally displayed opposition and anger. Vyatapana Korejana Shushka Rodan Ishad Hasya Krishna Korena Bartsan. Srimati Radharani externally displays a kind of dry crying, as if she is offended. Then she mildly smiles and admonishes Krishna. Panirodam avirodita vansham Bartsanascha madhurasmita garba Madhavasya kurute kara borur harishushka ruditam shamukepi. Although she has no desire to stop Krishna's endeavor to touch her body with his hands, yet Srimati Radharani, whose thighs are like the trunk of a baby elephant, protests his advances and sweetly smiling admonishes him. At such time she cries without tears on her charming face. Ematara sab bhava vibhushan shahate bhushita radha Hare Krishna man. In this way, Srimati Radharani is ornamented and decorated with various ecstatic symptoms which attract the mind of Sri Krishna. Ananda Krishna Lila Najai Varnan Apane Varnena Jadi Sahasra Badan. It is not at all possible to describe the unlimited pastimes of Sri Krishna, even though he himself describes him in his incarnation of Sahasrabhadana, the 1,000-mouthed Seshanaga. Srivas Hasya Kohe Shuna Damodar Amara Lakmira Deka Sampati Vistar. At this time, Srivas Thakur smiled and told Swarup Damodar, my dear Swarup Damodar, my dear sir, please hear, just see how opulent my goddess of fortune is. This time Srivas Thakur smiled and told Swarup Damodar, he said, please hear, just see how opulent Lakshmi is, because they're bringing Lakshmi in the procession of Hera Panchami. Vrindabanera Sampadeka Pushpa Kishaloy Giridatu Shiki Picha Gunja Falamoy. As far as Vrindaban's opulence is concerned, it consists of a few flowers and twigs, some minerals from the hills, a few peacock feathers, and the plant known as Gunja. Gunja is like these small red and white berries, they look like beans or berries. Vrindavana dekibare gela Jagannath shuni Lakshmi Devir mane hoila asojata. When Jagannath decided to see Vrindaban, he went there, and upon hearing this, the goddess of fortune experienced restlessness and jealousy. Eta sampati chari kene gela Vrindavan tare hasya korite Lakshmi korila sajan. She wondered, why did Jagannath give up such opulence and go to Vrindavan to make him a laughingstock? The goddess of fortune made arrangements for much decoration. Tomara Thakur deka eta sampati chadi patrafala fulla lobe gela pushpa bori. Then the maidservants of the goddess of fortune said to the servants of Lord Jagannath, why did Jagannath abandon the great opulence of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, and for the sake of a few leaves, fruits, and flowers, go see the flower garden of Srimati Radharani? Ekarma kore kahan vidagna shiromani lakmira agrete Nija Prabhure Deha Ani. Your master is so expert at everything, but why does he do such things? Now bring your master before the goddess of fortune. Eta bole maha lakmir sab dashi gane koti bastre bandi ane prabhura Nijagane. In this way, all the maidservants of the goddess of fortune arrested the servants of Jagannath, bound them around the waist, and brought them before the goddess of fortune. Lakmira charanayani koraya pranati danadana danadanda loya ara koraya minati. When all the maidservants brought Lord Jagannath's servants before the lotus feet of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, the Lord's servants were fined and forced to submit. Rateru pare kore dandera taran, choraprai kore jagannathera sevakagan. All the maidservants began to beat the Rath car with sticks, and they treated the servants of Lord Jagannath almost like thieves. Sabrityagana kohe joda kori hat kalyani diva tomar age Jagannath. Finally, all of Lord Jagannath's servants submitted to the goddess of fortune with folded hands, assuring her that they would bring Lord Jagannath before her the very next day. Tabe Shantahaya Lakshmi Jai Nijagar Amara Lakmir Sampat Vakya Agochar. Being thus pacified, the goddess of fortune returned to her apartment. Just see, my goddess of fortune is opulent beyond all descriptions. See how opulent my Lakshmi is. She's the goddess of fortune, so she deals with opulence. But that is the mood of her worshippers, and that is her mood, which is, their worship is called in the mood of Aishvarya Jnana. Aishvarya Gyan. Aishvarya Gyan, knowledge, it's that of opulence and awe and reverence and much respect is the predominant mood of the followers of Lakshmi Narayan. It's the mood of Vaikuntha, the mood of the Vaikuntha planets. It's not the mood of Vrindaban, which is spontaneously manifested love from the heart. And that is the mood of that Mahaprabhu came and taught by his personal example. It's called Raga Marg. So tomorrow I'm going to begin from this point and we'll be able to hear Srivas Thakur's continuation of his glorification of Lakshmi, and then how we can say the retort will come from Swarup Damodar. He will explain the difference between that majesty and opulence and the mood of Vrindaban, which is actually more opulent, but in a very not so, you can say that is the mood of Vrindaban is that of, it is more a deeper sense of opulence, worship of Radha and Krishna. But it is not opulence in the sense of showing so much there, because it's described that there may be many jewels shown in this Vaikuntha worship, but the most valuable jewel of all is Chintamani, and the very dust of Vrindaban is made of Chintamani. So that will be what we hear tomorrow when we'll conclude the chapter. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jadavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Jadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Giridhari Gopinatha Marana Mohan. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra. Garadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Garadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhakta Raghunath. Jai Rupa Sanatam Bhakta Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasha Raghunath. Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasha Raghunath. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. H.I. Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan. Jaite Vignana Shamista Puran. Jaite Vignana Shamista Puran. H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas. H.I. Gosai Jar Mui Taradas. Tasabar Para Renu Mora Panchagras. Tasabar Para Renu Mora Panchagras. Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas. Janame Janame More Abhilas. Janame Janame More Abhilas. H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas. H.I. Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Anande bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjayaman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Manjayaman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas. Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamudas. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajaka Charyashta Tara Sadashi Shimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishordas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Rupa Nuka Guru Varga Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadash Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Srila Vrindaban Das Thakur Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Bhagwat Ki Jai. Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Vishwavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Dham Ki Jai. Shri Ram Mayapur Ki Jai. Saparshada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai. Saparshada Shriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Kuladvip Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. Soquel Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Sevashram Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shri Vrindaban Dham Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Shri Damodar Brata Ki Jai. Shri Kartik Brata Ki Jai. Shri Niyama Seva Ki Jai. Shri Urja Brata Ki Jai. All the assembled devotees, Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.